Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inner Secrets Revealed, Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil Tivon. As always, I am your host of Metaphysical Scientist TV, Mike Ray. Today we have an amazing episode ahead of us today, as always. We have so far been going over the Sefira on the Tree of Life, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, in this series. And tonight we're going to be diving even deeper into the Sefira and their meanings. Tonight we will be going over the Sefira of Yesod, or foundation, and the capability to see through the illusions of this world, as well as the secret of the sacred Hebrew letter Reish, or R, as it translates into English. So we are going to just jump into this today, and we will begin and turn things over to the man of the hour. Let's give him the power. Dr. Gil Tivon, everybody. Dr. Gil.
Good evening to you all. Good evening to my dear friend Mike. And so let's just have a look, an overview of the Etz Chaim slowly, if Mike will be so kind as at your own time you can bring it on. I understand as follows. There are a few ways that the Etz Chaim, or the Tree of Life, can be arranged, but one of the great Kabbalists that we all rely on him, that lived about 1200 years ago, and was a reincarnation of the author of the Zohar, the man of the hour and the man of the power, which was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and he lived some 500 years ago. In other words, the first one lived 2,000 years ago, the author of the Zohar. This one lived 500 years ago in the holy city of Tzfat, and he's buried there. I've been to his gravesite a few times. A very, very holy man. And he received in Kabbalah tradition exactly the right code of how to decode, how to open the format of the Zohar to make it understandable, because the Zohar, to ever learned it, is written in the language of analogies, and he decoded it for us to start to understand the deepest secrets of life. And he showed us that this is the structure of this Etz Chaim. Very good, Mike. And it's built in a very, very specific way. Not only, this is very important, not only the structure, which can be in a few ways, you can carry on showing it to them, Mike, but also the letters and the organization of what combines what. And if you do count, in the proper Etz Chaim, there are 22 lines which are connecting. 7 are vertical lines, Mike, the Etz Chaim, if possible, if you may, and 7 are vertical, 3 are horizontal, and 12 are diagonal. Excuse me. So 7 are vertical, 3 are horizontal. If you watch the Tree of Life, it's connected with all kind of meridians, intertwining them, and 7 are diagonal. What we were discussing in the first lectures is the framework, which will be very easy for you, and so I dissected into the 3 floors, the 3 levels. The first 3, the first triad, which is in the head, then the next cube, which has got to do with the chest and everything that's got to do with emotions and human relationships. And now we're starting to go to the bottom section, which has got to do with subconscious, previous lives, past life reincarnations, all kind of evil inclinations, the shadows that we're going to discuss today, a very big subject that we are discussing lately, the last 2-3 years. Everyone that deals with mysticism, metaphysics, is dealing with the shadows, and today this is the origin of the shadows. But don't forget that there are also diagonals, 12 diagonals which are connecting this incredible structure, as you can see both on your right and both on your left. This is very important. So you will ask yourself, look, after 10 lectures, which we're going to summarize next time, we're going to have altogether 10 letters. What happens to the other 12? I mean, the other 12 are just as important. And the answer is they're hiding in the diagonals. And these are very, very important. I'm going to give you an overview, which is very important for your understanding. In Kabbalah, the book of Yetzirah, the book of creation, says as follows. Every Sefira and every letter is related to, controls, and governs and supervises the planets, right? So there are going to be 10 planets over there compared to the first 10 Sefirot. And 12, where do we find 12? The 12 zodiac signs. So again, not that the zodiac signs control anything, but the zodiac signs are a physical representation, manifestation of these very high Sefirot and Hebrew letters, which are very sacred letters, which according to Kabbalah, they are the very fabric of spiritual atoms that create this world. So when your name is Michael or Judith or Gil or any other name, it's not just a name, it's a code which shows us, to those who understand, and I've got a whole book about it, what is the source of your soul, what is your essence, what is your purpose in the world, what did you come here to do, what is your business card, what happens under pressure, duress with your emotions. All this is given within just 22 letters and all the permutations. Now, you ask yourself, hold on, is it possible that within 22 letters and not 7,000 as we have in our friends and in our brothers, the Chinese, 7,000 letters, and it's a very respectable, beautiful language, the Chinese, which I think will take quite a few years to learn it. I don't know almost one word. So how can it be that 22 letters can hold everything? Well, we do know that there are 22 to 23 chromosomes within the human body. And if you think about it, it works on permutations. The Sefira of Yesod, we're discussing Kabbalah, net Kabbalah. In Sefira of Yesod discusses not only permutation, it's called it Tmurot, which means permutation. What does it mean? Look at the following. I'll give you an example. Tonight, when we zoom in on the Sefira of Yesod foundation, I will explain why it's called foundation, fundamental Sefira, somewhere there at the bottom. So imagine that we discussed two Hebrew letters. Last week we discussed the letter Pei, which was in Hod, splendor or glory, which you can see that Mike will be very, very kind of you. Yes, down there, yes, on the Tree of Life. And tonight we're going to go into the letter Reish, which is down there at the bottom of the Sefira of Yesod foundation. Just take these two letters, Pei and Reish. They can form two words because 1 times 2 is 2, either in Hebrew or in English, rep or par. Right? Par is what is the par, right? And what is the rep? Both words are made sense also in the Hebrew and also in the English. Now imagine if it's 3 letters combination, that already will be 1 times 2 times 3, that will be 6 options. If the 22 letters, the immeasurable, the almost infinite Google number of options that come out from all these is incredible. And Mike showed us before kindly this beautiful circle of the Hebrew letters. You had a circle there before, and when you take all of them, you try to commute them together, you come to infinite number of possibilities, which is possible. So don't be dismayed and don't be disillusioned by the fact only 22 letters. What can I do about it? There you go. That's the one, Mike. Thank you so much. Now, this is a very, very important image because if you look carefully into the center, the mandala in the center, you'll see that somebody took the care to draw intricately all the connections between the different letters, one to the other. You see all kind of cross lines and diagonals. The number, the permutation that is immeasurable. It's billions of possibilities. And this is what forms the intricate differences in creation between different animals, different plants, the plant world, different inanimate things, different human beings, differences between two twins born to the same parents. We all are very unique because of these permutations. Each one has got a very unique way in which he perceives the world and what he came to tikkun, what he came to rectify in his world, and only you can do it. Nobody else can do it. I believe that if you listen to this again, later in the recording, slowly again and again, you will come to understand there's incredible depth here. Depth of understanding what is life and how come we're so unique and how does this system of Sefirot, which everyone is talking about today, we came to the day and age that everyone wants to learn Kabbalah and everyone is interested and people understand all the way from quantum physics, all the way to Buddhists and all the way to metaphysics and mysticism, that Kabbalah is an answer to so many infinite things, and we only together started to scratch it. We have in the program also the 72 holy names of God, which we're going to learn. You got also other kind of wheels, which, as Mike always mentions correctly, I wrote a whole book about it, and it will be in the process of translation also to the English, because in the original it has to be in the sacred Hebrew letters. So tonight we're going to zoom in on the Sefira of Yesod, of foundation. Now, if we look at the Tree of Life for 1 second, Mike, we will see, thank you so much, to our great surprise, that the Sefira of Yesod is, thank you, Mike, is very much, yes, close to the bottom. The last one is Malchut, which is comparatively to the Grut chakra. Above it is Yesod, which is the sacrum. So the question is, sacrum is a nice word, and I'm not sure if it's in English or it comes from Sanskrit, but it's another one. It's another chakra. It's another prism. Why in the Hebrew, and let's meditate on it for a second and observe and pause, why is it called Yesod, meaning foundation, the very foundation of this entire building, of the Etz Chaim, of the Tree of Life, of every human being, of every company, of the whole world? I mean, it means that everything hinges on that, not on the cat, on the crowd, or not on the mouth. This is the first question you should ask yourself. When you learn something, you want to delve into its depths, try to understand the deeper meaning that is hiding behind the Hebrew word for it, because that word is a code that was given by great, great spiritual masters that walk this earth, very holy, that received prophecy directly from God, and it was checked and rechecked by many, many thousands that lived over the ages, and nobody disputes that. So let's go into this. Why is the Sefira, this prism, called Yesod, foundation? And the answer is because the whole building stands on it. Even though, if you think as an architect, I'm sure somebody's going to watch it either now or later, the recording, it is an architect or an engineer. I myself, my first degree is an aerospace engineer. I can't let this building stand. This building doesn't seem to stand in one of. It's got one leg, a whole huge building is got to carry, and you want to tell me that the whole foundation starts from the second floor from Yesod? I mean, seriously. And the answer is, let's discuss it and understand where is it exactly in the human body. You see, there's if Michael zoom on it, on your left, at bottom, you can see the Leonardo da Vinci's man, which is described there and represented and drawn with the 10 Sefirot on it. When we come to the Yesod, it actually represents our very intimate organs, the organs through which we procreate, both ladies and men. What does it mean? So first of all, we start to understand what is called foundation. Yes. First, these are the organs through which we bring life. Even though our legs protrude much further down into the world, but this Sefira is the foundation from which this world starts, because without procreating, without bringing the next generation to the world is going to cease. There won't be any more people. Not only that, but we have to delve in today and understand that like I'm one organism, if I get, God forbid, a pain in my bottom right pinky of my foot, the whole body is pain, and my brain signals, Gil, you got yourself a pain and owie on your right bottom foot. We are interconnected to each other, and my whole body is one. It's not an organism only, it's a feeling. Mind, body, and soul, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, one cohesive human being. Today, in our day and age, this is the most challenging Sefira. The reason is because there's so much imagination and illusion. Imagination and illusion, two different words which come to a climax here with this Sefira, meaning as follows. And by the way, we have on Monday, if I remember correctly, Mike, at 7:30, if I can remember correctly, a lecture on healing from traumas, etc., that we're going to carry on. So this is very much related to this as an intro, as a prerequisite of understanding. Because when we suffer, when we go through trauma, when we are hurt, when we have got feelings, we are in a very fast generation. We want quick and immediate gratification. We want to feel it now. Many people don't have the love of their life or the soulmate living with them. Many people live in an imaginary kind of world. And the TV and the social media helps us ride on the wave of lust, temptation, imagination, wanting all the time more. And we see it in every movie that Hollywood produces. I want a bigger yacht. I want a bigger house. I want a Beverly Hills house for $23 million. I want a jumbo jet. I want a bank account with a few billions. Everyone wants to be married to the best looking man in the world, the best looking woman in the world, etc. People want all the time, and the TV produces the lust, the temptation, the illusion for people to lust that, to want that. People show either the best relationship on TVs that people envy, or the worst relationship with betrayal and cheating and everything else out there, and it's all out for the taking. And so there's no end to the illusion we go through. Children watch today movies from zombies to vampires. We also do adults for the next world that will be fifth dimension, in how it will look the world in 2050, in 3010. So there's no end to the imagination of a human being. There is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. But the beginning of it is over here. In other words, if you think about it, people have got, and you think by yourself about different kind of lust and desires which are of immediate gratification. The lust and desire, the temptation and the preparation is so much more, and people spend so much more money on it just for the imagination of a better clothes, a better kind of intimate relationship that they will have in the dreams, better kind of car, better kind of whatever it is. And it all starts from here. So this fundamental and foundation kind of Sefira loves and kicks somewhere in the shadows. It's the base of the shadows. And the reason God made it this way, first of all, without this, there won't be procreation. Without it, there won't be any kids. Without this, there won't be any attraction to the other sex, to the other gender, because people are people. But when it crosses the line of good taste, when it loses boundaries, when we live all the time in imagination, when people waste most of the day on Facebook and on Instagram and any other kind of social media movies, that they don't have a life anymore. Did you try to speak to any kind of a teenager today, that scrolls through the iPhone or the iPad or whatever eye they have, day and night? It's impossible to handle conversation with anyone because we all are stuck and glued into this machine. So this is rooted in the destruction, in the waste, in the decline and the decrease of everything wrong with the Sefira that we came to this world to repair. So why God is keeping so quiet? Well, if you do recall the story of Noah, he had enough. That generation really went overboard, and so it was wiped out because they really messed it up, especially when it comes to the foundation. Their terrible relationship with each other, even between married couples in the commune when they swapped couples, as well as stealing somebody else's wife or husband, as well as one man with the wife and the daughter at the same time. You don't want to hear. Better that I save it for myself, this kind of inner secretive knowledge. But history is repeating itself today very much. We are there. But we're not here to point out the problems. We pointed to point the direction of tikkun, rectification. What is the Sefira coming to tell you? Well, I'm going to write it into the chat, and hopefully all of you can see it later on. And I'll write it in the English because most of you, all of you, I think, don't read the Hebrew. So let me just see how it will come out, right? Yetzer and Yetzira. These are two Hebrew words. The first one, Yetzer, means a shadow, a evil inclination. The one that draws us to our imagination, illusionary world. We want immediate gratification of more material, more physical, more lust, more pleasure. And this is, according to Kabbalah, the only only creation, out ex nihilo, out of nothing, that was created by God. We are spiritual creatures of light. We were always there. My soul always was part of God, and is godly, and is infinite, and is eternal. But this creature that lives inside us, that it's impossible to see him or it, because it's within me, and we have to recognize sometime or other that this is an evil adversary and an enemy that lives inside us. This is the name, Yetzer in Hebrew, which means evil inclination, the shadow. The tikkun for it, which we're interested in, that's where he's going to calm down and chill, and God will be very pleased, and so will we, is when we turn this Yetzer, we turn the evil inclination, the shadow, into Yetzer, which means creation. In other words, we are all very talented. We are all very creative, but we don't believe in ourselves. We've got very low self-esteem, very low self-respect. So I think, people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, these are the big guys, Warren Buffett, they make it. Or people in Hollywood, but who am I? I'm just a nobody. And so we let it go because we don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe that we can make a tikkun or reparation. So we let it go, and we enjoy the physical at this moment, even though we don't think of the repercussion. Now, let me share with you the repercussion before we go to the tikkun. Tikkun is reparation. In 1 cubic centimeter of sperm, of man's sperm, there's 250 million sperms. 250 million potential children can come out of this. When a man has a proper intercourse with his wife, proper relationship, this is done in the proper way. The strongest one swims into the egg, penetrates, and becomes a potential child. And when the lady is not in exactly the time to carry a child, she's too old, she's too young, she's a different place, or she's already pregnant, that's fine. But if a person self-gratifies himself, and we all exactly know what I'm talking about, so you throw down the drain, because inside is a living thing, this sperm. There's a potential soul inside which carries and looks forward so much anticipation, I'm going to come to life. When you do that, you potentially throw away, physically, in your own hands, 250 million children down, you flush them down the drain. And from God's perspective, and that says the Holy Zohar, there is no worse severe crime from God's perspective that the person can do than that. Now, I know for most of you it's a shock. You say, no, it's only natural, it's only normal. But nobody's going to do it in his right mind in front of 100 people out there in university, in auditorium, or out in front of everyone in the middle of the streets. Why not, if it's so normal? And the answer is because we do know inside ourselves this is something very private. Nobody will do it in public, shaming themselves. So when a person does it on their own, they are forgetting that God is oversteering, overwatching, and it's a complete hatred of God to the act, not to you as a human being, but for the act. What does it say? It says this God hates infidelity, hates idolatry, hates this. And we see already the beginning, before Torah was given, before any commandments were given, long before in Genesis, when two men did it with themselves, with the lady Tamar, who was very beautiful. They didn't want to impregnate her because they knew that if they impregnate her, she will lose from her beauty through the pregnancy, as the normal custom. And if you speak to any medical doctor, they will tell you that happens because the child draws some of the beauty of the lady. So they made sure that they did not want to impregnate and did whatever it takes not to, and God killed them. Why? Because it's logical. It's logical that this kind of act comes to join between husband and wife, comes to be the apex, the climax of the love. It's an act of love. We are not animals. We don't just do sex. We make love. We communicate with each other. This is the most intimate, sacred, beautiful thing of two people joining with each other. But when we destroy this, and a person does it with himself, or just wants to satisfy the animalistic kind of lusts, well, from God's perspective, there's levels. It's still not so bad, but the worst thing is the person does it with himself, because then you are destroying potentially 250 sperms which have got a living soul inside them that's so much weighted to come through you, through your foundations, through your building to this world. What are the repercussions? You're destroying your world all the way up. And so when you look now and say, why does God doesn't give me the money that he gives Elon Musk? Why doesn't he give me the brains of an Albert Einstein? Why don't he make me spiritual master like Moses and many other people that walk this test like the result? You ask yourself a question. The answer is really that. Because you took that creative potential, Yetzirah, as you see in the chat, and you turned and you gave in, you subjugate yourself, you bow down to your own shadow. So, and the shadow in Hebrew, just to go a little bit there, but why is it called Yetzer? Because it's just an urge. So Yetzer in the Hebrew just means an urge. It's not even in the form an urge or a crave. It's not even in the form of a feeling. It's just an urge. Yes. So when you're going to be out of your body after 120, because we are all spiritual beings having a physical experience, God will ask you. The archangels that you speak about them and you meditate about them, you're so proud of yourself, are going to speak to say, why did you destroy everything on your job? I thought it was me. But how can you do that? If you crave chocolate, do you eat as much as you want? You're going to eat as much as you want. You're going to look like one. So nobody eats in the right mind the whole refrigerator because you're going to look like one. Nobody does many others. Nobody goes and steals money because it's inappropriate, because it's against the law. It's bigamy in the States to marry few ladies and the other way around. But in many countries, and according to the ethics of the Bible, we see God thought it's so, he put it out in the 10th commandment, the commandment number 6. Don't be adulterous, meaning especially that. And he shows us an example of 2 men that already destroyed themselves and died before 10 commandments, before the book of Genesis, not of Exodus. And they were not of any religion yet. They just did the wrong thing at the wrong time with the right woman, but in the wrong way, and God killed them. Now, God did not kill them. They killed themselves. And the Holy Zohar says, if you want to die young, with no children, carry on doing this. If you want to make sure that your brain shuts down, that your creativity dies down, if you want to make sure that your children can die young, if you want to make sure that you don't have any more creative talent, if you want to make sure there is no more livelihood that you're going to make, and the millions that you were supposed to come are not going to come, carry on doing it. So don't ask, why is God punishing me? No, you are punishing yourself. You're doing it to yourself. I think that I made the point clear, and I love you all very much. And I'm speaking mostly to myself. But I want you to take time, because I'm speaking out of pain, because I've seen so many people, especially men, that have gone that path, and it's just a joy or a pleasure and an urge for a second. But if you only knew how much it destroys all of you as a human being, you wouldn't go that direction. You wouldn't allow this to happen. I think I made myself very clear. Now, what else is imbued, is hiding in this foundation? Well, all our subconscious, all our illusionary minds, all our lusts, but also the creative potential. So if you used to be creative and you're not anymore, or if you want to carry on being creative in any field, doesn't have to be only drawing and sculpting, it can be creativity in business and making lots of money. It can be that creativity from the point that you want more children, and many people approach me that they cannot have children. The first step to do is watch your step. When it comes to foundation, clean yourself. And I will share with you. I had one young lady in my one of my lectures overseas, and somebody brought it to me after the lecture. It was 26 at the time, and it was a lecture about seeing auras, etc. And I was asked, what color do you see at the aura? I said that the color that I see in the aura is completely red. She asked me, what does it mean? I said, from what I understand, and I also looked at the palm, I understand that you suffer from cancer of the cervix. And that was very exact, so the lady started crying. To me, what can I do? Because the doctors don't give me much. I've got 2 little kids at home, and I'm not going to see them through. I'm not going to be a mother for many years. I'm going to die. I said, well, but the first thing you need to do is let's cleanse that foundation in you. And there's ways of doing it. One of the holy ways of doing it is going to immerse yourself in a fountain, a living fountain of water, or in the sea, at least 7 times. Go somewhere that nobody can see you, have loose clothes on you, or no clothes at all if it's possible, and immerse yourself over your head. It's called mikveh in the Hebrew, right? It has to be made in nature, not a bathtub, not a shower. It doesn't help. It has to be a natural fountain under the water, or in the sea, even the best, if possible, which is very important. And once she's done that, that lady was completely healed. Not because I'm great, because that's how it works. I'm just an agent of telling her of what I know Kabbalistically that works to purify that kind of thing. Of course, you cannot do that and go back to your previous actions. For everything we need to do in life, there's a price. You want to be successful, you want to be creative, you want to be creative flow, you want to be the next Mozart, the next Beethoven, the next Rembrandt, the next Bill Gates. Whatever it is that you want to do, pay the price. The price is very simple. If you read around the internet for men, day and night, and also for ladies, leave yourself alone. Don't play with yourself. Don't do stupid things. Don't do it. It destroys your energy. You feel exhausted. All your aura is black. The shadow takes you over. And the more you do it, the more entrenched you become into this. And if you hear that today I'm shouting a little bit more, it's because I'm speaking from my heart. I'm speaking with pain because I've seen so many people, and even this week, from here, I also work internationally in Zoom with so many people in telehealth, that you just want to know where people get to. And once you get there, especially if it's on the internet, people spend all the money, especially teenagers, all the money into all kind of sex services. And then you get photographed. And then with the photographs, they go and abuse you and they blackmail your money. And these are things that's not my imagination. I know the cases with names, which I can never share with you. So trust me on it. You don't want to go down that rabbit hole because there is no way back. The way back is so difficult because it will overpower you completely. How can we get out of it? The first thing is watch your eyes, watch your heart. These are the entrances to your soul. Right? The eyes are a window to the soul. Do not allow yourself to see all kinds of things that you know that will open all hell will break loose. And you know what I mean? The second thing is, and this is the Sefira of Yesod, that's why it says there, of the foundation. Be very truthful. Do not lie. Tell the truth. If you ask me now, what's the time in Arizona, where I'm sitting right now in Phoenix, and I will tell you it's approximately 7:36. Why did I say approximately? Because it's not exact, because the seconds are running. Try to be exact. If you promise somebody something, if you promise your significant other something, do it. Don't lie. Tell the truth, and I will share with you. I saw recently a beautiful story that happened recently now about a certain young youth that used to be a thief. He couldn't help himself to stop his kleptomania, and he went from house to house and was stealing. His parents called him red-handed once, and they brought him to a certain spiritual mentor, and he said, look, I understand it's very difficult for you to control yourself. Promise me one thing. Yes, His Highness, what do you want from me? He said, what I want from you is never tell a lie. Just tell the truth. I said, okay, that's simple enough. I don't have a problem with the truth. As the neighbors next door left, the guy broke in, took out all the gold and silver into his own stash, wanted to go out, and then he started to think, what will be if somebody catches me or my parents? I'll have to lie. I'll have to say that I stole, that I took it, whatever it will be, I will have to lie. And though he left all the money right there, telling the truth, being honest, first of all, with yourself, will promise that other people will attract to you in your life will also be honest. When you say, so many people cheat on me, they betray my trust, I can't trust my friends, that I live a fraudulent life, it's because we behave this way ourselves. So don't bring it onto yourself this way. this is of great importance to you. Because of the time, we're going to move forward and say, well, what's hiding behind this beautiful prism called Yesod? And you can ask, what on God's earth, why did God create such a terrible, terrible thing? And the answer is, no, it's not terrible. It's terrible if you go down the rabbit hole. But it's beautiful if you understand all it is just an urge. I have an urge right now to eat the whole chocolate cake, but I'm not going to do it because I want to watch myself or to watch my sugar level, whatever it is. You went already to gym today to lose some weight, some pounds. Why go again to all eat the chocolate cake? God is telling you, hold yourself. Any kind of, it's just an urge. It's not you. Don't fall into this trap of illusion that tries to confuse you completely about life. The level up from it will be, and Mike will show us now, please. Thank you, Mike. The letter Reish. The letter Reish is the parallel letter in the English of an R. And thank God, English and Hebrew, most letters, not all of them, are parallel to each other with different form. In the Hebrew, Mike, if you can please bring up the letter Reish, the form shows a lot about the essence of the letter. Yes. As you can see, this letter is open from two sides. And the first time that this is mentioned in the Bible, in the story of creation, Bereshit, is in the word, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the water, right? Hovering over the water, Spirit of God. Now, the Spirit of God is translated, is in the original Hebrew says Beruach, Spirit. Let me write it into the English, into the chat. Spirit, right? In the Hebrew is, I'm going to write it in English because you don't read Hebrew, is Ruach, which starts with an R, or in the Hebrew with a Reish. So for the first time we have Kabbalah, we have tradition on this, secret tradition, I'm going to share it with you. I don't want to hold anything back from you. The first time in the Bible, when we see a letter coming in the beginning of a word and formulating this word, it's one of the essential foundation of the noun, like the word Ruach in Hebrew. It means that is the essence of the letter, the essence of Reish, which is controlling, overpowering, governing, supervising the Sefira, the prism, the emanation of foundation of Yesod is Reish, which means, what does it mean? It means that this Sefira is Sefira of incredible strength, and this letter means Ruach means energy, movement, incredible intelligence and talent, but at the same time movement. That movement can be, or that dialogue can be proper, and the dialogue can go down the rabbit hole and be just very physical, very lustful, very animalistic. Who decides? You decide. And in the Hebrew, there's a word which is called sheker, which means a lie. So the Hebrew word sheker, it's got a reish at the end of it, is a lie, meaning, watch it. Be very cautious of this letter, because this letter is a confusing letter which causes delusion and illusion. The letter Reish has got only one leg. When you see the structure, it's standing on one leg. And I will write it to you in the Hebrew, this word of sheker, which will let me write it like this, that you'll be able to see it better. Otherwise, you won't understand. So let me see what I can do here for you. There you go. In the Hebrew, it will be sheker. Very good. All these letters have got standing on one foot. The Reish stands on one foot. The Kuf's got 1 foot. The Shin actually comes in the original to 1 foot standing. I mean, none of them stand on 2 feet physically in the form. All of them are letters that are shaking, and therefore, when it comes to your foundation, it is a shaking foundation if you don't solidify. Why did God create it this way? Because He wanted to leave us something to do to solidify, to crystallize, to stabilize our own system. Important point. So this letter Reish also controls and supervises and governs the planet of Mercury. The planet of Mercury is the closest one to the Sun. And it's when somebody has it in this astrological map, which we haven't learned together, it's a different class, different workshop. When this planet Mercury controls your chart, or it's very powerful and dominant and emphasized, it means that you're a very intelligent person, very communicative, you love movement, but at the same time you can fall into the world of illusion and of lies. Why? Because tonight we have learned the secrets of where does it come from. And so if you see what Mike put up now on the top right, where you see, let's look at what Mike put now, this beautiful picture, as a clock, as a watch. You'll see it at about the clock that will be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and nearly 3 o'clock. There's the three letters, Kuf, Shin, and Reish, which forms the word lie, sheker. All of them originally stand on one foot. So at 1, 2, and 3 o'clock, that's top right hand side, let's call it northeast, right? You see these three letters standing together because when we say a lie, it's the easiest thing to do. Easiest thing to do is just a simple false to throw out of our mouth, and we don't owe anything to anyone. So simple to lie. But the repercussions are very big because you get people that will lie to you in your life as well. It's not, you don't attract to your life what you want. You attract to your life who you are again. You do not attract to your life what you want. You attract to your life who you are. So if a person is a liar or lies and doesn't know any more the limit between the boundary between false and truth, he will attract to his life people that will lie to him. The person is truthful, only truthful, harmony and love, he or she will draw into their lives. And this is of great importance over here for us. The zodiac sign, I'm seeing the time is running, so I'm going to make it short. The zodiac sign which is hiding behind this is the zodiac sign of Gemini. Two, actually. Gemini, and the other time that Mercury controls the zodiac signs is also in Virgo. So both of these, Gemini, the two twins are there in Gemini, which means one is who I am as a person, and at other times it's Mr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde, or Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll. At one time you are just beautiful human beings, so wise and so calm and collected, and in 1 second we become like wild animals and give in to our lust and desires. If I read in the newspapers recently that a man gave his child a present, a gift for his 13th birthday to take him to a prostitute, I can't read such things anymore. I mean, what kind of an educational role modeling are you doing to your son when you are praying him to go to a prostitute at the age of 13? I mean, how far down the drain did you throw your brain, your decency as a human being? I mean, what kind of education will that be? What will that child do to his child and that child after? It's all done. Once it's done, it's done. So watch it. Think before you act on things of that nature. This is the nature of this letter. So let's summarize. On top of it, there's the letter Reish, that R, Reish. It's open on two sides because it's up to you to decide which way you want to take this energy, this frequency, this vibration in your life. You don't have to go to the world of lies. You don't have to live in the world of imagination. You can be wise. For this, you need to be deep. That's why Gemini, people that are Gemini can be sometimes more trivial, sometimes can be jackal of many trades or master of none. But at the tikkun reparation, very deep people that you can decide, I want to focus on one thing, limit myself and run away from everything else. And again, even if your name does not have an R in English or a Reish in the Hebrew, even if you're not a Gemini or a Virgo, you can fall into this because we are negligent and we don't pay attention, we don't observe, we don't pause to observe in our lives what is us and what is the shadow that follows us, and what us to trample and to fall. The biggest adversary that we have, it's unseen because it's part of us. I think it's very concentrated what I said. I think it's a lot. It's a big deal. It's shocking a little bit, which is beautiful. I hope that you're shocked and you take it to heart. It's dramatic, let's call it. I didn't innovate anything because once you think about it calmly and quietly, you say, this guy knows what he's speaking about. It's exactly the way it is. It's exactly the way it is. And the question is, what can I say? What I'm just one single simple person. What can I change the world with? Absolutely, yes, change your world. Change your world, make a difference, make an impact on others. Let it start from you. Let you be a role model. If you think about it, Abraham was a role model, the exaggeration was paganistic. Noah was this kind of man that kept very well, especially it says in the Bible, in Torah, Noah was a righteous man. What does it mean, righteous? Righteous means he kept very much the foundation, Sefira, clean. And tonight you understand what it means. That's why God chose him. For that very fact. You want to live a long life. You want to live a creative life. You have to have lots of money, lots of success. You want to have your wife loyal to you, or your husband loyal to you. God very well, completely, like a hawk. Guard yourself there. Your thoughts, your actions, your eyes, your heart. And don't go down that rabbit hole because there is no way back. Thank you so much to all of you. And now it's open to questions. So I can't see any of you because I'm in a different channel, but I think Mike can, at least some of the rooms. So Mike, if you can present me with questions of either of the audience or of yourself in the few minutes that we have, I'll be thankful. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Tivon, for that very enlightening lecture on the Sefira of Yesod, or foundation. We do have a couple questions so far, and a few people joining us and rejoining us. So I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us and for watching. The first question we have is, and I think you touched a bit on this. How does one rectify or tikkun an imbalance in Sefira? Is it the same way a chakra is balanced?
Right. And the answer is not really. Because in the chakras, there are only 7 of them, and they're only speaking about the central line. But I can't, and yes, we do, of course, do chakra alignment, which is of great importance, but there is no right from the words right and left in the chakras. It only depicts the middle pillar of a human being. So there is not, I don't have all the tools available to me to really do the right balancing. For example, if a person comes with a terrible problem at Netzach, which is eternity, he's not victorious, he's not dealing well with life, there is no chakra that I can deal with that will depict this because it's on the right side. Yes, when it comes to the Sefira of Yesod, even the depth of it, what does it mean? I need other Sefirot next to me to help me balance this entire organism called a human being, this entire being entity. So this is much wider and deeper. If the chakras live in 3D, the Sefiras live in 4 and 5Ds. It's a different level of operation, all completely. It's like you compare yourself, your writing when you are 5 years old with somebody who is in high school or university or professor. Well, all of you will write the word chakra the same, but the meaning behind it and the depth and the understanding and the level of balancing will be completely different between the professor that wrote chakra and the child of 5 who wrote chakra and barely understands the meaning of what he wrote. I believe, and I want to believe that you understood my answer. Thank you. Any other question, Mike?
Okay, so we did have one other question. So let me bring it up real quick. Okay, so I think this was a comment having to do with Yesod being the foundation and the reasons it's the foundation, the part of the body that it corresponds to. The question is, does life begin within the sperm or at conception? So I think you touched a little bit on this when you mentioned that there is a soul or spirit in the sperm, which is why it is such a frowned upon act by God. Why you said he hates this act. Does life begin within the sperm or at conception? When does life begin?
Very good question. Very, very good question. We have Kabbalistic sources as late as 100 years ago and starting 2,000 and 5,000 years ago that does provide us with modern clues and understanding that life begins at the sperm. But we cannot forget that the formulation of the entire individual, of that entity called a human being, has to be impregnated through the egg. So a complete soul comes to be and formulated after about 6 weeks within the womb, which is the time of hibernation, time to start to formulate. After that egg started to divide and redivide to millions and billions of cells, and then the entire being is there completely. So the soul is already there from the word go. It's true from conception. And we've got terrible Kabbalistic stories that share with us from knowing, not from thinking, from people that are incredibly spiritual and high and saw it, that the soul comes in at the very act of the parents that very night. So what they think during the time of the act, right? What were the intentions, right? And what kind of soul they draw on themselves according to what their parents hold. So understand, when you think about your spiritual mentors, which are very, very holy and big, why were they born in this house and not in a very simple house where everything is haywire and everything is in a mess, in a chaos? Because those parents knew what they were doing. So if you want to make sure that you bring down to this world holy, beautiful, righteous, goodies, children, we have to first of all clean our own act. And I do recall one of the great spiritual men, his name was Etz Chaim, lived in Radin in Russia, nearly 90 years ago, when a young couple came to him. The woman was pregnant, nearly giving birth, and they asked him for a blessing. He said, "Can you give us any guidance?" He said, "Well, you're 20 years late." He said, "What do you mean 20 years late? I was only born 20 years ago." He said, "You should have started with educating yourself. Falling pregnant is easy. Bringing a child to this world is the easy part. The tough part, the challenging part is sanctifying yourself, educating yourself, preparing yourself to this beautiful creation called a child, which will be the fruit of the combination of you and your husband, you and your wife's creating the child together with the partnership of God to create it." And the Zohar, the Holy Zohar, teaches us that there's 3 partners in the creation of a human being. One is the father that gives all the bones and physical marrow within the body. The other one is the woman that gives all the blood vessels as well as the coloration, the skin color, etc. Usually, right? There are exceptions, but usually within any normal to be born human being. But the soul that will he feel, sense, taste, feel, that is God given. So in the last 20 years, in the accelerator in California, scientists have tried exhaustively to try and create one cell, one organism, an amoeba, which is alive, and they've failed completely. Because if God does not put there a living soul, nothing will happen. But what we do, we go the other way. We take that potential life and we destroy it. So it's actually, you think about it, if your parents decided to destroy you at that very act by aborting you, and again, some cases are open to discussion when a woman is very ill or falling pregnant is going to kill her, or she's not in the psychological framework, or the parents don't have the monies completely, or it was out of an act of rape. I'm talking in general terms. And I will share with you, just before closing, because I have to leave this room before time, because I'm sharing this room. There was a great chief of staff of the army in one of the countries in Europe. And he shares the story that his parents told him, that when he's at conception, the parents weren't ready, they were too young to have children. The mother and father decided to abort the child. They went to a certain private physician because it was illegal, and they had on them, let's say, $20. The doctor wanted $100. The father said, "I'm very sorry, sir. We're a young couple, we're poor, we only have $20. He said, "I'm very sorry, I can't abort your child. Minimal payment, $100. So he said the chief of staff was born for $80. Because if the parents had another $80, they would have aborted the child. Imagine giving up on your child. Imagine your parents would have given up on you. And you'll be put in a bag and crushed into pieces and thrown out, either aborted or even before that, flushed down the toilet, right? Flushed down at conception because you felt like relieving yourself or enjoying and your own lusts. So think about it. It is of great importance. Nobody said it's not a natural urge, but the greatness of a human being is to say what the Hunchback of Notre Dame said, I'm not an animal. Rise above this and take that energy, which is frustrating you, I understand, and navigate it towards being very creative, intelligent. I thank all of you, and God bless you all. And those people that didn't enjoy being with us tonight, couldn't be, I hope you will see it in the recording. And we'll see each other soon again on Monday at 7:30 MST Arizona time, speaking about, I think, therapy of and healing of addictions. If Mike will share with you more about it, I will hear it later. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Gil Tivon. I guess he had to go in a hurry. He was sharing his office with somebody else. I just wanted to very quickly just go over what we spoke about the Sefira of Yesod, which is a foundation, and the letter Reish, which, as Dr. Tivon explained, there are certain letters in the Hebrew alphabet, which there are 22 of them, and here they are. And with these 22 letters, we are able to combine everything. So unlike some languages where there are thousands of characters, there are only 22 which combine to form everything. Of course, we went over today the foundation, the Sefira foundation, or Yesod, and the part of the body that it corresponds to, which is the reproductive organs. And we explained how we are supposed to balance ourselves, not like somebody who balances their chakras, rather somebody who is able to attend to both pillars instead of just the middle pillar, as you guys are seeing right now on the right side of the screen. We have the middle pillar, which just goes from the crown through Daf, or knowledge, which would be the throat chakra, and then you have the Tipareth, which is at the heart center, and you have Yesod's foundation, so that would be the solar plexus, or the sacral chakra. And then, of course, you have Malkuth, or kingdom, which would be the root chakra. Then you have these extra Sefira, which, because there are 10 of them, of course, the number 10 we spoke about in previous lectures. The number 10 and the number 22, which there are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, these are sacred numbers that, when combined together, give us these infinite multitudes and an infinite amount of different possibilities. So I just want to thank everybody again very quickly. Right now I'm sharing Dr. Gil Tivon's contact information with you guys. So if you guys want to plan maybe a private session with him, or if you have any questions for him, his email address is giltivon@gmail.com. And as he did mention, we will be continuing our mental health, mysticism, and metaphysics discussions with Mike Ray and Dr. Gil Tivon on Mondays at 7:30 Arizona time, which is 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you check your time zones and set your clocks and calendars so you guys can be there. We will be continuing the topic of the process of healing from trauma. Some coping skills we went over last Monday when I was teaching. And we will continue to see how these things are all connected to each other. And you can find this all on Metaphysical Sciences TV, presenting interactive podclasses on the topics of mental health, spirituality, mysticism, and metaphysics. Also, be sure to follow us on the mental health, spirituality, mysticism, and metaphysics Facebook group. And be sure, if you guys are watching this during the replay, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for updates for new videos and when new podclasses will be coming out. Again, this was Inner Secrets Revealed Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil Tivon. Thank you all for joining us. I'll see you next week, same time, same place, even more to discover. Thank you all very much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you.